Hey guys, this is a quick video to show you how to use the USBA training log. I know it can be kind of confusing with all the boxes and all the information that can go in here. Um, yeah, I just wanted to do this quick video, show you guys how to do it. So basically, when you open up the training log, you'll see this is the home page. Obviously, name, address, all this information that isn't 100% important, but it's your log. Take some ownership. USBA number, all this good stuff. So moving over to the calendar tab down here, this is where you can input some information about your training or some big stuff that's coming. So for example, if we scroll down to December, if you're a junior athlete, you know that trials is going to be this right after Christmas time period. So you can put trials in there, or maybe that on July 4th, for example, maybe you want to run the firecracker mile, so you're just going to put it in there. And it's just something so I typically don't use this page because I have my calendar on my phone, so I usually just skip right over this page. I've even deleted this page um, on other training plans just because I don't use it. Training plan now, this is where things start getting a little interesting, and this is where we really want to start paying attention. Some athletes use this and others don't because they have other modes of recording or planning out their training. Here's what I did this week. I looked at my training and I wanted to train 15 hours this week. So I decided on, let's see, Monday in the afternoon, I wanted to run, bike the next morning, do some spinning core, all this stuff. And then here are the hours that I wanted to do. And it adds up everything at the bottom here. And you can see if I add another 2 hours, it's going to jump up to 17. So it adds everything up for you at the bottom here. I didn't end up doing this because my legs kind of hurt. So I modified it a little bit, took an extra rest day in the middle of the week. But this is a place where if you share your training log with your coach, they can go through and they can update this for you. And that's one thing that we did when I was training and competing competitively. Was my coach would go into my training log and he would update all of this information for me. And so on Monday morning when I wake up, I'll eat breakfast and I'll pull up my training log and I'll see, okay, what's the plan? All right, looks like we're gonna meet at the range on Tuesday, and on Wednesday we're gonna go for a roller ski in this town, and on Thursday it's a bike on my own. So it's just a way for you to train to map out your training plan. Um, you know, I've seen athletes who don't even use this page. Again, it's kind of up to you. And then there's also this other color coded, just visually being able to see, what's coming up and what you're doing on that certain day. So this is where it gets really interesting, though, is period one. This is why we really use this plan. I added period -1 here because I had some training that I wanted to log. The first day that is available on this log is April 6th, and I had some training in March that I wanted to log. So I added this page here, the -1, so I could add some March training. Just disregard that. But let's go back to this week. So this is really what we're here for. I want to make this very clear. Only update the yellow boxes. If you're updating anything or you're changing anything in the blue or the green boxes, you're going to mess with some formulas. So for example, see this box right here, it's this is a formula. This is the sum of all of these boxes. So don't mess with that. You do want to mess with this stuff. So let's take yesterday, for example. In the morning, I trained for 2 hours and 43 minutes. And then in the afternoon, I went for another hour, all in L1. As you can see over here on Tuesday, I did some intervals. So I did some L3 and ended with some L5. But for the most part, my training was L1. Down here, I have some general strength and some core that I logged. Now, the question is, how do I know, what I'm doing? I did 2 hours and 43 minutes of what? That's when you want to come down here and log it. I know it might seem repetitive and redundant, but you really do want to log both, because this tells you this is heart rate information and then this is like activity information. So I did 243 of running yesterday, and in the afternoon I did another hour of cycling just to spin it out. And you'll see if you update, if you accidentally put in the wrong information. So you can see I did an hour in the morning here, an hour in the afternoon here. But let's say I accidentally logged the afternoon as 2 hours. it gives you this error code down here that tells you something's wrong. So it'll make sure that you're basically just a little check system to make sure that it's right. So you 1 hour, 1 hour, now it goes away. Up at the top, you have all your shooting information. So if you go to training on, typically we say we train on Wednesday, you shoot 100 shots, and just base shooting, no heart rate, or maybe you did some little combos to finish up. Maybe it was a hard combo day, whatever. It'll tell you total shots, add everything up here on the end. And yeah, this is good for you to track your shooting. So this is obviously a biathlon specific training log. If you're just a skier and you don't shoot, obviously you can still use this. I'm not doing much shooting these days, but I still use it just because of a lot of the graphs and the information it'll show you at the end. We'll get to that in a second, but yeah, then there's like dry fire time, scat shooting, just loads of information. But again, only filling out the yellow boxes. If you're filling out the green or the blue boxes, you could be messing with something. In my opinion, this is the most important part is the the information that goes with the training. So again, yesterday on Saturday, I ran with Kate and Annika. Here's a link to my Strava just because I like looking at maps and stuff. But then, I said that my hips and my groin were hurting, but I haven't really been doing much of anything to combat that. So, I am kind of sore because, as you can tell, I'm putting in 11 hours of training a week. And my body's just not used to it right now because it's still early in the season, but I really haven't been stretching or anything. So I should probably get on that. But this is where you really put in that information. On this day, I did the track intervals at Truckee High, 4 times 1,000, 2 times 200, and I did 34 or 347, 352, 350, 348, and then 31 for my 200s. Here's my Strava. Yeah, I probably should have put a little bit more information like, oh, I felt good, or oh, I didn't feel that great for my first interval session. But this is where you want to put the information, and then in the afternoon I did an easy spin to shake it out. Yeah, so this is where the log really comes in handy as a coach and as an athlete for you. These are all the sum of everything you've been doing. So this is my period 1. I did 11 hours, 9 hours. 13 hours, 10 hours, and in total, I'm at 44 hours for this training block. A lot of running. So I've done 23 and 20 of running and cycling, and that's perfectly fine for this time of year. And then it just, adds everything up. Again, you're not touching anything over here because it's a green or a blue box. Obviously, you have all these periods down here at the bottom for pretty much every week, all the way through period 13. And look at this, period 13, March 25th through 27th. This is probably going to be US Biathlon Nationals. So, those of you who are going to those, you're going to be filling out this log all the way through, the end of period 13. And again, each period has all this information, all the sum of everything. This is, for me as a coach, this is what I look at. Again, I added period -1 because I wanted to log some March training. So you can disregard this. I didn't touch it up and make it look pretty or anything. So that's why it kind of looks weird. But, again, 44 hours in period 1. Going down here, again, it was a 23 to 20 for running and cycling. This is some really good information over here. This is all the percentages of what you're doing. So remember, you want to be training like 90% of your time in L1. So this first period, I'm at 96%. A little bit of L3 because of the interval set I did. A little bit of L5, not even enough to, to record because it was literally just two 200s of 31 seconds. So it's 1 minute of the 44 hours that I've done. And then some strength, 3%. Down here, this is the breakdown percentage of running to other, activities. For those of you who were there for the Emilian Jacquelin interview, you remember he said, I did a lot more running training this year, and obviously it paid off because he won world championships in the pursuit. So, this is a place where he can come down here and say, wow, I did 52% of my training as running and I crushed it this year. Next year, I'm going to do the same. Or maybe he looked the year before and he said, wow, most of my training was skate skiing. And I felt good, but I think I can do better and I want to change it and I want to do some more running this year. And then boom, he crushes it. And he's like, yeah, running helps. So, again, this is a blue box, so you're not going to change anything in here. There's nothing to input. This is just strictly information. Same over here. Nothing to input here. This is just information for you to look at. I've trained 70 hours so far this year, and I'm the coach. So what have you been doing? Just kidding. Down here, this is what I like to look at because I'm a very visual person. Period -1. Trained about 20 hours. The next period now I'm up to 44. So it shows me, okay, I'm increasing, but then maybe as we get into race season out here, I should probably start decreasing because my body's going to be tired. I really like looking at this as well. Breakdown of exercise form, period -1. Did some cycling, did some running, and what is this? Light skating. Okay, so yeah, did some skiing during the March training block, quote unquote, some core and other stuff. But now, since coronavirus has pretty much shut everything down and the snow is melting, no more skating for me. A lot of cycling and running, still doing that core and my daily push-ups. So this is all, really good information, breakdown of time. No, haven't done any shooting yet, so there won't be anything on here. Training percentages, yeah. So I would really recommend just don't touch these graphs because it's probably going to break something. They're all hooked up to where they need to be hooked up to. If you're an Excel wizard, go for it. But if not, again, you're really just looking for the yellow boxes in the training log section. Update the yellow boxes in the training log section. This is, again, blue box, don't update it. This is copy and paste from the training, from the training log. I usually don't touch, don't even look at this. L3, L5, you can input some of your workouts in here if you're really detailed, really want to get into it. I don't know. I never touch this thing. Shooting, again, this is input for your shooting scores. This is actually pretty good. I do like this one. We do the 30-30 shot. This is a 30-30 drill. So you can date, place, conditions, how you did prone, how you did standing, your total score, and then at the end it'll give you the average. And so you can say, hey, my precision shooting is getting better. No idea what the NSSF3 is. I'll have to, but wow, that is a lot of information about the NSSF3. But yeah, we have the pull 20 times 1. Don't know what that is. 4 times 5. I don't know how that's different than the 20-20 single shots. And then we have the German test, who God knows what that is. So yeah, just here's some places to input your shooting scores. Physical tests, time trials. I think that's all that's on this page. So yeah, if you do a time trial, you can track my prone shooting really sucked in the beginning of the year when I was doing a time trial, but the time trial that I did in the winter is much better. So I'm improving. Stuff like that. Percent hits. So, if you're racing the World Cup and you're racing 40 times a year, this is going to be chock full of information for you. If you're only racing the domestic races, or even only racing the ASC races, it might not be as full, might not give you as much information, but it's just a way for you to follow, and track your stuff so you know what's going on. And then this is cool. You can input your max heart rate and it'll give you a rough estimate of what your training zones are. My max heart rate's pretty low for my age, 185. So according to this, it tells me that my L1 is 111 to 133 heart rate. Obviously, to get this exact, you want to do a lactate test. So you can set that up with your coach, and we can try to figure out how to get that. Again, with the VO2 max, I only know this number because I did a VO2 max test about 5 or 6 years ago. And I'm sure that this number has changed since then, just because I'm older. So this is, it'll tell you roughly what your VO max is for those levels. But this is a good, a rough estimate of what it should be. But again, training log, the most important thing with this is going back to the log section and really inputting this information so that way you can track it over time. Because as a coach, this is what I want to see. I want to see that you trained a lot this week, took a little bit easier this week, went back up, another big week, and you hit your hours for the week. And same thing up here. I want to see that your dry fire time is either consistent or improving week to week. Maybe your shooting is, yeah, it's just information for us to look at. Most of these tabs I don't touch, but the training log you do. And the question is why use the USBA training log? And the answer is pretty simple. It's because it's uniform throughout the nation. So if I've never been over here, I'm just exploring. I don't know why there's a big yellow box, but if you're, for example, a rising junior and you're using this training log, and all of a sudden you get called up to, the national team, and the coaches say, all right, let's see your training log. Let's see where you're at. And you pull up, a notebook with some scribbles in it. You're going to be like, wow, this is really hard to read. Or even if you have an Excel document that isn't this one, it's going to be okay. It's going to take them, a couple minutes just to figure out what they're looking at before they can even give you advice or give you a training plan. So with a training log like this, you can go from coach to coach, and all the coaches in the US are very familiar with this training log. I can pull up a log from a kid who's trained his entire life in Minnesota and look at it and tell you, exactly, or give him recommendations and suggest things, where if it's a log that I'm not familiar with, it might be really hard to read and confusing. So that's why it's good to use the USBA training log. Yeah. So if you have any questions about this, I pretty much went over everything. If you have any questions, something still doesn't make sense, can't figure it out, let me know, and I can meet with you individually, and we can try to figure it out. So go get training.